Hey everyone, welcome to Redmen TV. Breaking news, breaking rumour. Fabrizio Romano, either way, is saying that Liverpool have made an inquiry for Juventus's Federico Chiesa, the Italian international who has just this last season left on his contract. It's been touted around quite a bit over the summer, seemingly no takers, and with the transfer window 4.5 days away. Yeah, Romano reporting that Liverpool are going to perhaps make a late move for the Italian. I'm going to get into it, but first and foremost, reactions in the comment section underneath. I don't think any of us expected to be here, least of all me, as you might be able to tell by the environment in which I'm recording. This could have done with breaking 2 hours ago. I'd have been in the Redmen studio for this, and that would have looked much more impressive. More on that later. Anyway, yes, Federico Chiesa. 26 years old, about to turn 27 in October, 51 caps for Italy, 1 year left on his contract, can play across the front line and in behind as well, but did suffer, I mean, it's quite a well-known fact at this point, but did suffer a cruciate knee injury in 21-22 in the back end of that season in the January, which kept him out for the rest of that season and the first half of the season that followed. So last season is his first full season injury-free, and it wasn't truly injury-free as well. A number of sort of isolated games here and there that he missed out for a variety of reasons. But it's an interesting one. It's certainly an interesting one. So we just done the Redmen Originals podcast today, and we were talking about, Liverpool, what they might need with the remaining days of the transfer window. There's a rumour that they're still going to go after a defender. We know they've been interested in a holding midfielder or a central midfielder as well. But one of the things that I think Liverpool fans have discussed is in terms of the overall balance of the squad, Liverpool could arguably do with improving the quality and maybe numbers defensively, but they are pretty well stocked. They're pretty well stocked in terms of midfield, but more of a specialist DM potentially. There's an option for it there. The one sort of glaring hole in the squad is a Mohamed Salah understudy. It's him down to Ben Doak, and of course what we saw at the weekend was actually Ben Doak not involved. It was Harvey Elliott who came on the right wing, and some people think that's fine and some people don't think it's fine. I think he's personally okay in certain game states. I think when you're playing against park buses and deep defences, Harvey Elliott's absolutely fine because he hasn't got the pace that Salah has. Of course, he's not a running behind kind of guy, but he is someone who's brilliant at picking pockets of space, great, very creative and good eye for goal as well. By the by, he looks like his best work is done, Harvey Elliott, in a 10 in slots formation. We haven't seen that in a competitive game yet, but we saw that in pre-season. The thing with the Chiesa thing, the first name that came to mind when I saw this and started to look into it in a little bit more depth, if you're basing this around the idea that this is a big signing for Liverpool, I think that's the wrong angle to look at it from. If we'd been making this signing 4 years ago, it would have been that, because here was a kid with the world at his feet, incredibly high ceiling, held in such high regard, such an exciting attacking talent. However, there are huge question marks over his fitness and availability because of this cruciate knee injury, of course. So what it says to me is not that. This doesn't feel like a signing that, let's say they think Salah's going to leave next year, that this is necessarily going to be the guy who takes up that mantle and runs with it, because I'm just not sure he scores the goals. Ultimately, it's a big ask to jump from Serie A to the Premier League, least of all when you've been through the career that you've been through so far. So no, what this feels like, at worst, Arthur Mello, but I don't think it's all that bad. I think this is Xherdan Shaqiri again. And if that doesn't make immediate sense to you, let me just round that out a little bit. Experienced international, experienced at the highest level of the game and one of the top leagues in Europe, experienced in European club football as well, has an eye for goal, is creative and is versatile enough to play across a number of positions. And as well as that, isn't a perfect fit for any of those positions, and maybe isn't totally and utterly, what's the way to put this, demanding of a nailed on regular first 11 position, because that's one of the main issues Liverpool have got with trying to find an understudy for Mohamed Salah. He's the best in the world. He's super fit and always available. When he plays, he either scores or creates a goal, literally in almost every single game that he plays in. So what are you going to do? You know, if you're someone who's, like, look, if Salah's leaving at the end of the season, that makes it a different conversation. If he's being sold, it's a different conversation. But I would still be offering him a new contract, and I don't think he's going to get sold now. So the issue remains that, as we've had it for a number of years, you're turning around to a 21, 22-year-old, the next great, could be 23, could be 20, whatever, and saying, right, hi, promising, super talented player who's probably just had or is about to have their breakout season at a good level with 100-something career appearances at top-level football under his belt. You're now going to come and play second fiddle to Mo Salah, who plays twice a week, basically 90 minutes, and you're going to get the occasional sniff. That player's basically going to tell you to swivel, basically. And the last time we really had someone who was close to that was Shaqiri. Again, really, really good footballer, but had fallen foul. And one thing you see with Liverpool, I think there's a misunderstanding sometimes, or an oversimplification of the transfer targets that they go for. And often it's this idea they've got to be under 23, they've got really high ceilings, and obviously they'll go through statistical models and what have you. One thing Liverpool also look for is marketing efficiencies and potential bargains. Now, great example in Graham's book of where they got that wrong was Mario Balotelli, which could be another example of this. And what that is because his contract's about to expire, and of course he's had the injury issues, you're looking at maybe getting him for less than £30 million. If you can get him and you're not asking him to play 2 games a week, and he doesn't just get injured willy-nilly regardless, and he's not the kind of player who's going to be battering down your door demanding to play 90 minutes twice a week anyway, you've improved the quality of your squad by signing someone like Chiesa. That's a hole filled in Liverpool squad, potentially. And what you've got there as well, even if it doesn't work out, he carries enough of a reputation that for the price you're paying for him, you're at least going to make your money back next year, because he won't be too old. As long as he doesn't have an Arthur Melo type, there's 7 minutes of football and I'm dead. If you can just get a good half season or so out of him without any major crises, he will at least hold his value, if not more. And that's one of those things, like a marketing efficiency, is that Federico Chiesa, regardless of the issues that he may or may not carry, is worth more than the transfer market value of about 35 million euros at this point. A value that's only going to come down because it doesn't look like Juventus want him. They don't want to offer him a new contract. And so there's that. And this is the thing, they've got a new manager or a new approach, and he can be surplus to requirements. I often think, why don't good football clubs want certain players? I've been doing this with Manchester United. Why do Bayern Munich not want De Ligt and Mazraoui? There must be something wrong with them. The only thing is, it's Liverpool, and as much as there are examples of missteps in recent years, there are far more examples of just shrewd purchases and doing smart business. And if this is that, if this is us just buying someone to give us a little bit more cover in the attacking positions, and it's something around the 30 million euros or less mark, and they're reasonably confident that his knee isn't going to, it hasn't been reconstructed with cheese strings, then it could be quite a shrewd move. It's a big enough name as well that might make people feel a bit happy. He might just sell a few shirts. He's certainly a talented footballer. He's very good on the dribble. He is nowhere near the goal scorer, of course, that Mo Salah is. You know, again, across his career, in Serie A, he's about 1 in 5 goal scorer, about 1 in 5 assister as well, which means combined goal and assists, it's around a 1 in 3. I've got the rest of his stats. He runs 77 goals in 324 career appearances. That covers all kinds of random competitions as well. 53 assists in that time, whereas in Serie A, 47 goals in 235 appearances and 43 assists, which is pretty decent for a guy who doesn't, you know, who plays around and about from both flanks, from left mid, from right mid, from number 10 in his career. Decent. So yeah, mad one. Didn't expect us to be covering this at all. It's funny that we've been talking about need a DM, need someone else who can play at the back, and then Liverpool link with a winger. Sounds fine, go for it. The question, I guess, is, would you rather replay the game at the weekend would you rather see Liverpool bring on Federico Chiesa to replace Mo Salah in games this season, or Harvey Elliott? Now, I really like Harvey Elliott. I just hope he gets as much game time as possible, and I'd like to hope he's just in rotation with Szoboszlai for the 10 role for us. But yeah, kind of pose it in that regard. Or, you know, if you have an injury crisis, and that's what a lot of people are talking about, if you can't get that centre midfielder that you're looking for, and that might mean that Szoboszlai needs to be recalled into more of the double pivot, but then you're going to need someone else who can play in the 10, and all of a sudden Federico Chiesa and Harvey Elliott battling out for the 10. That sounds pretty good, doesn't it? So yeah, it's not perfect. It's not an earth-shattering move, and it's also not necessarily likely to happen. It could get shut down at any minute because it is Fabrizio Romano, and it is a wild sort of rumour. But it is an interesting one. And maybe there's a little bit of life in the transfer market for Liverpool yet. Who knows? Right. More from me. Check out the Redmen Originals podcast. Check out the Bias Transfer podcast. We just recorded that. Mainly, it's just an opportunity to have a big laugh at Everton and Man United. I'm recording the deep dive, my deep dive debut with Josh Williams tomorrow. I'm probably going to do more on Chiesa unless it gets shut down. And maybe Gear Tweeder as well, who's been linked as a defensive transfer for Liverpool. I'm also doing JNO Insight with Paul Gorst on Thursday. If you want 3 months of Redmen Plus to watch all of those shows for the price of one, go there, sign up using the code MAYCH, MAYCH, and fill your boots with me doing extra content on Redmen Plus in the countdown to the transfer window shutting. Thank you so much.